Hello to everyone in our audience, and especially to those of you joining from our virtual hub. My name is Duncan Dykes, and welcome to Day 6 of DocEdge 2022. I have with us today two people from the team behind The Art of Rebellion, the star, Lydia-Emily, and the editor and producer, Sam. Hi guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi.
Hi, Duncan. Happy to be here.
Now, director Libby, unfortunately, is unable to be with us today, but she's with us in spirit. So I'm going to ask a few questions just to get everything started. And if you're in our virtual audience, if you put some questions in the chat, then in a little bit, we'll throw to you guys and we'll put these questions to our guests.
Fantastic.
So first question to ask. So this one's for Sam. When did you, and by extension, if you know, when did Libby first hear about Lydia-Emily's story?
Well, I believe it was around 2012 or so, Lydia. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds correct.
Okay, so Libby and Lydia were both paired together on this project through Gucci's Chime for Change effort. And actually, I think, Lydia, you might be able to explain it better than I could.
Sure. Gucci has a charity called Chime for Change, and they wanted to do a mural that was kind of a narrative of the story of a woman named Jessica. She was so dope, super awesome. And I think it's partially in the film.
Yeah.
She was sexually trafficked for a very long time. And so what they asked me to do was meet with her, hear her story, not really interview her, but just have a discussion and decide what a mural would look like what her narrative would be. And so I took pieces of it, like the birds she liked, the colors she liked, the song she liked, and used her imagery. And then Chime for Change wanted it all to be documented. They wanted someone to document the conversation and to document the making of the artwork. So that was Libby. Libby was the director, and we, told a lot of dirty jokes and had a good time. And I'm really unprofessional. And so she was like, I like her because what's not to like? And we just started working from there on out. I think that's the story.
Yeah, and then just to follow up, I came on board around 2016 when Lydia had been shooting for a few years, and she'd already had some other editors working on the project. So I'd come in kind of midstream, and then from there worked with another great editor, Elisa Benora, and helped shape the film together and get it to where you see now.
Right. So I'm curious, actually, do you know at what point it went from you guys first meeting to the conversation of this should be a film? We should be making a film about your life.
Well, when Libby first proposed that, I was, as one can imagine, like nervous and skeptical and all those things, even though Libby had given me no reason to. I just had other people ask similar questions about documenting something. I think there's that whole juxtaposition that I think is kind of interesting, I guess, being so sick and painting, single parent, autistic kid, there's just so many different things to tell. But I researched Libby, and there was nothing in her background to make me there was no Kardashians. Not that there's anything wrong with the Kardashians, but you know what I mean? There was no sensationalism. There was no reality TV hidden. Everything that she had worked on was so legit and heartfelt and in line, I hope, with the things I care about. I don't know if she would be insulted, but I say that. But I couldn't have picked a better person to trust. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, and she puts up with all my dirty jokes and my not PC-ness and all the stuff that I do that's terrible. She was like, bring it on. So, we went from there. I felt like it was, I felt like there was don't really know how to put it, but I could trust her.
Like a sense of connection, I guess.
Yeah, it was the best way I could say it. And she's been nothing but trustworthy for 12 years, or 13. I don't know how long it's been. So yeah, she's never strayed from my initial idea of her. So, she's awesome.
And you talk about that initial hesitancy to having your life put to film. It's a very confronting, very vulnerable sort of position to be in. Can you speak at all more to the idea of what your thought process was when you decided to take part in this film, to essentially have your life be the subject of an entire film?
Well, I guess it's odd, but I don't feel vulnerable. I've never really, I don't do anything that I need to hide. Like I've always been pretty loud and like outspoken, and I don't feel like anything I'm doing needs to be double checked, or I don't know that she could, or anybody could edit me in a way that, maybe they could, scary music and whatever, but I wasn't worried about what I was doing, and I wasn't worried about what I was saying or what I was painting or who I was. My initial hesitancy about working with someone was what they would do with it. I was never worried about how I would come off. I come off like a dick. That's who I am. But my hesitancy was what could happen to it. And like I said, Libby has been transparent and awesome. The only thing I worried about being transparent or vulnerable about was about the kids. They were so young, and my daughter Dorothy, who is now 21, it was very important to her that she not be a focal point from the age of 6 or whatever Libby met her. And to this day, she's still the same shy. Everybody has that friend who doesn't post on social media, but just looks. That's her, she's very private. So, but Libby, as you can see in the film, really honored that. Dorothy is in it because it's important for people to see that she's part of the family, but her story is private. It's her own. We don't deep dive into what's Dorothy thinking or, what's happened to her. And so I feel like the one part that I was really nervous about, Libby respected.
Yeah, you talk about respecting the kind of people's wishes as you're making the film. Sam, are you able to speak to maybe the mindset of the team behind the film with regards to what you guys felt were some of your biggest responsibilities in telling this story?
Sure. Number one was always be honest to Lydia, to show her as she was just talking about here, as she wanted to be shown as herself and not sensationalize it. And we wanted to make sure that we presented her to the audience in a way that they see in her what we saw in her when we were putting it together. Like we saw this strong, resilient, inspirational person, but also a real person too, with flaws, and present her both sides of that, the good and the bad, the ups and the downs.
What flaws? How dare you?
Rough edges.
I'm curious as well. At what point in the process did you two get to meet for the first time?
I actually didn't get the chance to meet Lydia until we had a screening at another festival a few months ago. So yeah, I was always kind of seeing her from afar. Libby, our director, was the one that was having the face-to-face interactions with her. So it was a real treat to finally get to meet her and see that yeah, she's exactly like she is in the movie.
Yeah, no. Can you imagine if I was acting for 13 years? If I was just acting. Yeah. And then when you met me, I was like, shy.
Yeah, did you have an accent for some reason?
A New Zealand one.
Yeah, sure.
Accent. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I just met him, literally.
Well, I mean, that's so funny because already just feels so warm. You feel like such friends.
Yeah, we're fast friends. I mean, life is too short to pick others apart and look for differences. You got to get along with everybody, right?
Agreed.
Well, one last question from me before I put the question to the audience. Something that people over here have been noticing in the film is the trip to New Zealand jar that your family is collecting, Lydia. You have it there. I was just going to ask. I mean, are the dreams of coming over here any closer to being reality?
I think that we were going through such a time. And the idea of escapism, right, is normal for most people, I would think. We would pick places that were so far away from us, not far away for you, obviously, and places that we had zero connection with. The whole idea was to not like look for your ancestry or like find an old girlfriend or, it was like, let's go experience something that we would be dropped off and be brand new like babies. We wouldn't know anything. We had no preconceived ideas about New Zealand or what it's like. But I do know that when I was there, I was 6 months old. My parents were hippie Trustafarians, and they had in recent inheritance and a lot of weed. And they were like, let's go to New Zealand and raise emu because that's what we have to offer you. New Zealand is rich hippies from the United States coming to raise your emu. So we were there for, I think, 4 months when they started to sober up, and they were like, this is labor. And we left because that was my life. Those were my role models, by the way. We don't even have a picture, not even a photograph of our time there. So when we were picking places to go, I was like, let's go to New Zealand. I know nothing about it. I don't even have a picture of when I was there. I don't know anybody there. It looks beautiful. It looks so beautiful. And anybody I've met from there here in the States has been fucking lovely. Am I allowed to curse? Has been lovely. And so we still have our jar. And we empty it out periodically and put it in the bank and then fill it back up. But this is the perfect opportunity for me to say, hello, New Zealand. Wouldn't you love to have a mural from a sick middle-aged lady? I think you would. And I think that you should talk to your, what do you call it, a state? Like in between spots? Do you have state line separations in, or do you call it cities, or do you call it counties? What do you call it?
I think I would say it's just cities, I believe.
Would you? Because like when you're in Canada, they call them different states. So like, I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, we are considerably smaller, I guess, than Canada.
Yeah, everybody is. So you should talk to your city. You should talk to your council people in your city. You should say, what would look awesome right here is a mural. And then when they say, we're New Zealand, we have a lot of people who paint murals. You go, no. Let me tell you about Lydia-Emily. And then you can tell them about my little jar. I'm like a little girl, like the matchstick girl in the street, like with this. And so they should ask me to come out and paint or talk. There must be people in New Zealand with multiple sclerosis. I would love to come out and talk. Shameless plug.
We'd love to have you out here as well. I just want to note, yet another sign of how fascinating your life is, that you have an undocumented period of history where your family was raising emus in New Zealand before then just going back to the States. Oh, yeah. No, after that, we went to Guadalajara, where they wanted to live in a kibbutz, or we're not Jewish, or we have not, like, there was no, they just would get high and just be like, that idea sounds rad. But because they had money, every whim was possible. It was totally ridiculous. And then they ended up spending their inheritance. So
but I think they have a lot of good memories. Unfortunately, none of them document it.
All right. Well, I'm now going to throw to our audience for some questions. First question we have is from Rory. Lydia-Emily, what would you say has changed in your life since the completion of the film?
Bean passed away. The little black dog in the movie. Just recently. Yeah. She was 15. So that was a big change. And Dorothy, my 21-year-old, is in college studying astrophysics. Isn't that crazy? I can't even help with homework. I'm like, want a grilled cheese? That's all I can do is like make a sandwich. And I've spent as far as art goes, I'm picking my mural projects very carefully because I had a couple years there where I was very, very sick. And I did a lot of chemotherapy, which they do for people with MS. And I'm starting to feel a little better, which is super awesome. But I want to be very careful about getting out there in the heat and on a wall. So I'm doing a lot more studio work, a lot more oil painting for private collectors.
Well, our next question is from Finbar. For Sam, can you talk about the challenges or techniques involved in working with children in a doc like this?
Sure. I mean, we always wanted to be cognizant of anything Lydia protested against. And we showed her a cut when we were getting close to the end of the movie to see if there was anything she objected to. I think there was one shot that we had to change. But same as our protocol for Lydia, we wanted to show the kids as themselves and the challenges they were facing, but not dive into it too deeply, which I don't think we needed to. I think you can kind of gauge their feelings just on the surface, and just having them there to help add a little bit of extra flavor to the story and help inform who Lydia is too, I think was priceless. So it was there were challenges worth facing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, our next question is from Laura. For Lydia, what would you say, in your opinion, is the most impactful piece that you've done?
Piece of art? It's one that's not in the film. I finished it after they finished filming. I'm sorry. I wish I could show you, but I'm kind of a Luddite. Like, I don't know how to do the computer screening thing, techno stuff. Not techno. See, that's how bad I am. It's a piece that's on my website. It's called Her, and it's just me and me. There's two of me, and one is me that you see now, like with my painting apron and blue jeans, and the other one is what multiple sclerosis feels like. So like I'm cut up, and I have screwdrivers in my head, and it's very difficult, but it's on my website, which is just Lydia-Emily.com. That sounds like a plug. I'm not trying to. It's it's the only place where you can see the piece. I mean, you can fish back through my Instagram. I always love that, so go crazy. But yeah, I think that one. I also did a piece recently about what it's like to have a seizure, because I started having seizures because of MS. And I think those pieces are the first ones that I spent so much time, so many years painting other people. And I finally started painting me, and or the way I feel. And that, I think, has been the most impactful on me and has gotten the largest response from outside of me.
Well, our next question is from Tanya. To the filmmakers, what was the most challenging part of making a documentary?
Well, we spent a lot of time in the edit trying to find. I was talking earlier about that balance that we wanted to strike with Lydia. Some initial cuts of the movie we felt were living too much in the down moments, and was not. It ended up being not the film we wanted it to be. With all of those down moments, we wanted to find the levity and the good parts too. So that was a really challenging part, at least from an editorial standpoint, was finding that that good balance of showing the ups and the downs of Lydia's life. Lydia, was it challenging having a film crew in your house all the time?
No, because we always had parties. That last house, the house that was featured a lot, we used to call it Camp Kablam. We had potlucks every week and parties all the time. And the problem with being an artist is that all your friends are artists, you know? So like everybody I knew was either a photographer or a filmmaker or a sculptor or writer. So there was always kind of it was very like, you know, Henry Miller, 1930s. We're just like a gang of vagabonds, like running around, eating at 99-cent stores and acting crazy and painting each other. And you know what I mean? So I guess having filmmakers in the house, it was a lot hotter. Yeah, that's the big difference, because you always have to turn off the goddamn air conditioning because the sound messes with the sound of the film. Oh my God. It was all, if I look like I'm sweating in every scene, it's because I am, because air conditioning had to be off all the time. But that was it, just the air conditioning. That was my only complaint.
Mm. And Sam, it's interesting you talk about trying to get that tonal balance right, because I think the film does a fantastic job of having these moments of kind of joy and humor throughout everything.
Thank you. Yeah, some of those joy moments were some of the last to really be put together for the film, like the scene where Lydia gives someone a tattoo. That was, I think, the last scene that was cut together to put into the movie.
That was terrible. That poor bastard. I wonder if he's had it covered. I think he moved to Thailand. Oh, it's so funny. Oh, I forgot all about that.
Next question we have from Rachel. So she asks, is one of the producers a Kiwi? Did she work on the film from New Zealand?
Oh, if there is, I'm not aware of that.
Sure.
Who is one of the producers from New Zealand?
We might have a little bit of misinformation there. I might go to the next question. So our next question is from Toby. Are you working on any new projects? I guess this is for both of you. Are you working on any new projects at the moment that you're able to talk about?
I'm working on several new projects at the moment, just bouncing between a lot. I've got a few different narrative films that I'm finishing up right now, and then just started on another documentary about a month ago about paramedics in America.
Oh, cool.
So that's in the pipeline right now.
And Lydia, is there anything
that I'm working on? I am working on, so I just had 2 years off, not just because of the pandemic. I think a lot of people probably would have been able to paint a lot during the pandemic, but I had 2 years where I had a spinal cord injury from the MS and started having seizures and then did the chemo. And so I just laid on my back for 2 years, just laid there and licked my wounds, you know, like a lion. And I'm just starting to come up out of it. So I have recently started to be able to paint again. And oh, that's right, I wrote a book. I forgot. I wrote a book. Short-term memory problems. Yeah, I wrote a book. So that's the answer. I wrote a book. It'll come out. I don't know how we're going to release it yet. It has art in it, but it's not all art. It's mostly written. It's mostly words. And to be fair and honest, I didn't write a book. I was paired with a writer who's awesome. And then I was like, blah, blah, blah. And they wrote the book. I helped, I guess, edit kind of and craft the stories that I had spoken, but they really did the labor. So it's got words in it and art, and it's about how to get like in front of Congress if you want to, like I did. And it's about how to navigate the medical system without health insurance or with shitty health insurance, which almost everybody in America has. And it's about having a kid with autism who's now grown, and it's about being sick, and it's about painting. So it's about me. I did that.
Do you know what the book's title is?
Improbable Kindness.
Cool.
So
Well,
it'll be just because it's about me and how, like, I mean, one of the reasons why you see me in trouble so much in the film is I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I just like, I think that if you're nice, then you are the greatest person that ever lived. And it's caused me amazing problems. And I still feel that way. I was still am happy and believe in people. So the book is kind of about that, how to not lose yourself in bitterness. I think is the worst thing that can happen to anybody, bitterness, because it can ruin everything. So hopefully that, I haven't decided, I have to finish the talking part, the audible part, and then I don't know how it will be released yet, and I don't know when, but I will be getting better at social media again soon, and I will be putting it out there.
Well, wonderful. I mean, we have that to look forward to then. I have another question here. This one is from Thomas to Lydia. Can you come and paint some murals in NZ, please?
Yes, I can. Absolutely. I will be there tomorrow if I have to put my hair up in a ponytail because it's hot. I could be there tomorrow if you can get your city leader to say, I mean, I could come without it being approved by the city. That is possible. I would absolutely come. It just would be, with today's inflation and everything that's going on, it would be remarkably expensive. So if you know of anybody who wants to sponsor said trip and paint and couches to sleep on, I will be there.
Well, we have one more question from our audience. This one's from Erin. To Lydia, where can we find art or follow what you do?
Oh, if you're on Instagram, I'm just Lydia-Emily. I guess I've been on there long enough to just get Lydia-Emily. So I think it's just at Lydia-Emily on Instagram. And you can follow me there. I'll be updating the new works that I'm doing coming soon. I'm not the kind of person who posts about their salad that they're having. So sometimes there's long spaces where you don't see anything. But you can also go to my website, which is Lydia-Emily.com. You can go to this film's website. What is this, Sam? Is it artofrebellion.com? Do you know what it is?
It's blueprintfilms.com/The Art of Rebellion.
There you go. You can go to that, which I can't repeat because I forgot already, but Sam can repeat it again. And then there's like Facebooks and TikToks and all that stuff. You can just Google search Lydia-Emily Art, or Lydia-Emily Archibald is my last name. And if you see a Wikipedia, I didn't write it. Don't believe it unless it's good. If it's good, believe it. If it's not good and somebody's edited it, then it's total rubbish. But that's my disclaimer on Wikipedia. Was that a good answer? You're my fan.
Absolutely.
Woo!
Well, I think that might be all the time that we have today. For those of you watching, if you haven't had a chance to see the film yet, you absolutely need to. It's so fantastic. It's really beautiful and so intimate in how it shows Lydia's life. It's available online from until the 10th of July. And for those of you who are in our virtual hub right now, exhibitions will be open for another hour, so I highly recommend checking those out as well. Lydia, Sam, again, thank you guys so much for joining us. Sorry, it's been a real pleasure having you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. This was an absolute delight. It was wonderful to meet you, and we hope to visit someday.